In today's video, we look at a crew of ram raiders, spree targeting shops and businesses. Over several months, the crew will fine-tune their operation, and with a reinforced van, will then go in the pursuit of cash machines, using the van to rip the machines out. Police will soon be onto the crew, with a member being caught in an extremely brief car chase, complaining when he was arrested that the car chase will look absolutely disgusting on tape. We look into the crew, the police investigation, and the trial. In the early months of 2020, as the world grappled with having to remain indoors, a crew of criminals embarked on a ruthless spree of raids across the Midlands, wreaking havoc on local businesses and institutions. This gang, led by Mark Lake, Dean Isitt, Darren Fitzpatrick and Nicholas Collins, became notorious for their audacious and violent criminal activities. Their crime spree, which included ATM thefts and high-profile robberies. Mark Lake is the unspoken leader of the group, and at 42 years old, his criminal resume stretched back to his teens. He was known to police for various offences, ranging from theft to handling stolen goods. Mark had once been a promising young man, but the lure of fast money and the adrenaline of crime had always been too much for him to resist. After spending time in and out of prison, he had emerged with little hope of going straight. He had no stable job, no family to fall back on, and mounting debts that pushed him to take more drastic actions. Dean Isitt, aged 45 years old, was cut from a similar cloth. Unlike Mark, Dean had tried his hand at going legitimate, working odd jobs and trying to settle down, but fate always seemed to pull him back to the underworld. His temper had gotten him into countless fights. After losing yet another job and falling behind on rent, Dean was looking for a way to make a quick score. When Mark came to him with the idea of a ram raid, Dean didn't need much convincing. Darren Fitzpatrick, 38 years old, was the wild card of the group. He was known for his reckless behaviour, often getting into scrapes with the law for joyriding and street fights. Darren was younger than Mark and Dean, but his record was just as extensive. He'd been caught up in the local gang scene for most of his life and knew the ins and outs of criminal operations. Despite his brash nature, Darren was smart when it came to cars. He could steal a vehicle in under a minute and was notorious for his high-speed getaways. For the night of the ram raids, Darren's skills were invaluable. Nicholas Collins, 41 years old, was perhaps the most reluctant of the bunch. He had a family, a wife and kids, and for a while he had tried to stay on the straight and narrow. But hard times had fallen on Nicholas, and when his business failed, he found himself struggling to make ends meet. He had known Mark since their teenage years, and when Mark approached him with a plan, Nicholas was hesitant. But desperation is a powerful motivator, and Nicholas couldn't shake the feeling that this one big job might clear his debts and give his family a fresh start. The gang's criminal journey began on January 6, 2020. In a brazen move, they travelled to Stoke-on-Trent, where they stole 2 Audis. This theft marked the beginning of a series of calculated and violent crimes. The following day, the gang utilised one of the stolen Audis to target a subway branch in West Bromwich. There, they executed a precise raid, ripping out the CCTV system and making off with the safe. The speed and efficiency of this crime set a disturbing precedent for the gang's future operations. Hours later, they smashed a hole in the side of the garage on Penn Road in Wolverhampton, ransacking an office and stealing tools, before moving on to a money transfer shop in Tividale Road in Tipton, where they ripped open a roller shutter. They tried to remove the safe, but were disturbed by officers and fled. The gang's criminal activities did not slow down. On January 19, 2020, they executed a particularly violent robbery at a shop on Castle Road West in Albury. Armed with crowbars, they forced the terrified staff to kneel while they smashed open the safe and made off with thousands of pounds. This incident was emblematic of the gang's method of using intimidation and violence to achieve their aims. The gang's criminal ingenuity was further demonstrated on January 22nd, when they attempted to force open a cash machine at a shop on Washwood Heath Road in Birmingham. Although they were interrupted by police and left their tools behind, their determination remained unshaken. Just days later, they carried out another robbery in Dudley. Using a Jaws of Life machine normally used by firefighters, they tried to break into a cash machine. After removing it, they tried blowing up the cash machine using gas. It didn't work, and they fled empty-handed. On January the 30th, CCTV captured them breaking into Cannock Hospital, where they tried and failed to take money from a cash machine. They used their van to ram police officers as they escaped. This aggressive move highlighted their willingness to use violence to escape justice. The gang's spree reached a new level of audacity on February the 1st, when they ram-raided a shop on Lichfield Road in Walsall Wood. The destruction was significant, with the entire entrance of the store demolished. They attempted to drag a cash machine through the wreckage using heavy straps, but the machine became snagged on the destroyed shutters, forcing them to abandon the raid. The gang's criminal activities continued with further attacks, including a shop on Warstones Lane in Wolverhampton on March the 6th. They attempted to drag a cash machine from the shop, but were unsuccessful when the straps snapped. Their pattern of destruction and failed attempts persisted. The situation came to a head on April the 25th, when Mark Lake, driving a van, was pursued by police. In a dramatic and dangerous move, Lake performed a U-turn and drove the wrong way up the M6 Junction 7 slip road, travelling for about half a mile in the wrong direction on the hard shoulder. He abandoned the van and fled on foot. Inside the van, police discovered scaffolding with straps welded to the van's chassis, designed to facilitate the removal of cash machines. As the gang spree continued into June, their operation became more desperate. On June the 4th, they stormed a store on Turner's Lane, Brierley Hill, tearing panic alarms from staff and stealing tills. Their final robbery took place on June the 7th at a store on Howley Grange Road, Halesowen. Armed with hammers and crowbars, they threatened staff and customers, forced them into the rear office, and attempted to access a safe, but were unsuccessful. The gang's downfall came on June the 11th, when police finally apprehended them. A red van bearing clone plates and driven by Collins was the focus of a high-speed chase. Driver Collins rammed officers to get away, but police were able to bring the pursuit to a safe end. Collins was tasered as he tried to flee, while Lake was pinned by his hip in the damaged vehicle. Fitzpatrick was found in a rear partition of the van. Getaway driver Nicholas Collins bizarrely moaned to officers about how the chase would look on video. "It's going to be ridiculous on tape, that is. That's going to look absolutely disgusting chase on tape, that is, lads. Thank you very much. Because you know what I'm going to look like? An absolute div to everybody who sees that. And it's all because you were chasing me for what? Look what just happened. Of course I'm upset. I'm going to prison now. You know, dangerous driving and whatever else." Isitt was then arrested, attempting to flee from his home address. The investigation into the gang's activities was complex and involved extensive police work. The West Midlands Police Major Crime Unit employed a range of techniques to build a compelling case against the gang. This included gathering mobile phone evidence, tracking vehicle movements, and conducting forensic analysis on items left at crime scenes. Detective Constable John Marsh highlighted the severity of the gang's actions, describing them as ruthless and reckless. The investigation was meticulous, with evidence from various sources coming together to paint a clear picture of the gang's criminal activities. The cumulative effect of this evidence was instrumental in securing the convictions. Detective Constable John Marsh said we're committed to tackling serious and organised crime under Operation Target. At Birmingham Crown Court, following a trial and a number of guilty pleas, they were sentenced. Mark Lake, aged 43 years old, was jailed for 18 years for conspiracy to commit robbery and conspiracy to burgle. Dean Isitt, aged 45 years old, was jailed for 16 years for the same offences. Darren Fitzpatrick, aged 38 years old, was jailed for 13 years for the same offences. Nicholas Collins, aged 41, was jailed for 6 years and 20 months for conspiracy to burgle and driving offences. A fifth man, John Williamson, 42 years old, was given a 21-month jail sentence, suspended for 2 years for conspiracy to burgle. What first attracted me to this case was the brazenness, but also the determination. A very notable criminal crew, and they have now gone down in history. They are being discussed in bank meetings and construction meetings. They are famous. The crew are now used in guidelines for security and fitting of ATM cash machines, not just in the UK, but also in America. The name of the gang's exploits in the USA and the UK, in the guidelines, is called the Midlands Crime Spree 2020. It has quite a ring to it. The sentences are as expected, with the ringleader getting more jail time. The crew are prepared in a reinforced van, and I mean, where the hell do you get a tool like the Jaws of Life from? Oh, okay, that's a very good price. ATM machine thefts have now replaced bank robberies because good luck finding a bank that's open. ATM thefts have gone up from previous year, so even though we're Brexited, we are still classed as Europe. So in Europe, ATM rip-out thefts and thefts and attack in situ are up 24%, from 3,728 to 4,637 incidents. The biggest place to get cash now is an ATM. Gone are the shouts that this is a bank robbery. The only noise you'll now hear is a cash machine being dragged down the road, with a big hole in your local supermarket shop. Well, will you look at that?